We are almost live.
Okay, just wait.
Should be there in just a sec. Yes, I believe we are.
And then everything is still.
Okay, we are live. Welcome, welcome. So we are back. We have Liz at Normandy Equine with us from Normandy in France. And visiting with Liz is Liesbeth, Jorna. So we're going to introduce you to Liesbeth and her work and talk a little bit more about what Liz does and what's going to happen in September in the Netherlands with Karen Rolf. So all the big names are here. Awesome. So go
Hang
for
on,
it, girls.
we've just lost Liesbeth for a second. Yeah, Bellum's getting a little bit impatient. So yes, so I'm back from the States. I was out there for a couple of weeks and came home to be able to greet Liesbeth, who I met last year at a David Lichman clinic. So and Bellum is deciding that he's not going to participate. So we met there because my intent was to go from anatomy and do a little bit of other work. So David Lichman was a nice place to start. And I met Liesbeth and we hit it off right away because we're definitely of the same way of doing things. Liesbeth is really, really good dressage rider, show jumping at her daughter events. She has a wonderful place in Holland and does amazing work with horses. And so today we're having a great time with my Lusitano here, who's a rehab horse that came to me with a twisted back that I took a long time to rehab, and we're now playing with him tonight. So Liesbeth, tell us a bit about you.
Well, well, she already sends a little bit of a blush to my face. Okay, so my name is Liesbeth Jorna. I'm from the Netherlands. I live in Friesland, the northern part of the Netherlands. And what I basically do is I teach people how to teach their horses in a friendly and biomechanically healthy way. So that was my tagline. You got it. And no, it's true what Liz says. We met and immediately we connected on an energetic level, but also on a level that we have a similar way of training horses. And so what we're doing right now, we're actually, me and my husband are returning from a holiday and we were driving up north again. And I decided, hey, why not take a little deviation and meet with Liz? And maybe we can sort of exchange some ways that we work, some insights, learn from each other. Yeah, so that's what we're basically doing today.
Yes.
So we arrived yesterday and we started talking horses and it never ends.
We haven't stopped. Thank goodness Elizabeth's husband is also very much into horses, because the poor man would have, I think, probably committed suicide by now.
Down to the beach.
So yes, all gone to the beach. So
Yeah.
he's participated quite a bit with us in our chatting. And today we're working with Bellum. Tomorrow we're going to be working with Uhani and my other little mare Roulette. But I know you, Monique, are off. Where are you off to tomorrow? Somewhere exciting.
Kansas City. I'm off to Kansas City tomorrow with my husband and a few thousand other people. We're going to learn more about biohacking. And my main aim is to learn more about biohacking the equine, the horse, and in what ways we can help horses with that and how. And not just with their base product, but really learn more about how we can use the other products to help our horses as well.
Well, this horse has been biohacked, and I have to say that he suffered from a lot of separation anxiety. So you now see a horse who's quietly with us, though his mares are out of sight, which up until very recently I wouldn't have been able to do. But since he's been on the Pro Tandem, I have to say he's been much, 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 much quieter, much more calm, and much more self-confident. So the Pro Tandem plus the work that he's getting has really changed his life around, and mine, because he was not an easy horse to begin with.
Right. And that is really our aim for us working together, to really help the horse become, to help the horse perform at its genetic potential, right?
Yeah.
by
Exactly.
teaching them and by
Exactly.
wow. Are we going to see a little bit what you're doing?
Yeah, well, Lisbeth, would you mind start doing a little bit more because you had started? I have just done a little bit with him, and Lisbeth was just showing me a few things.
Right.
So, yes, would you be happy to do that?
Yeah, what we were actually doing, Liz just showed me a little bit of the procedure that she uses to get the horse to be connected and calm and a little bit in balance and responsive. And and I already discovered a lot of similarities, but there's also some details that I do really different. So we were just talking about, where would I start? What would I do? First of all, I would like you to step back a little bit. Thank you. Just get out of my space. And so we had just begun and with really, really basic stuff. So the first thing was actually leading and teaching your horse the responsibility to stay with you so that you don't have to micromanage him all the time. And he's already like, oh, she does things differently. So he got a little bit tense, but also very responsive and curious.
Mm-hmm.
So what we need to do is help him understand what I really mean. And well, this is something that I do a little bit different than Liz. So it's interesting to see how this works.
Yeah, it's brilliant to see how other people approach the same issues and being able to exchange the knowledge and spread it so that we can really bring this to people and have so many questions answered, not just on a behavioral way, but on an anatomical way and on an internal health way. So there's all sorts of different things that can be done to achieve much better health, much better communication, much better relationships, but also long-term health for the horse, because this is one of our biggest problems, is that we're losing horses by the thousands every year, every day, because horses become dangerous because of what is being done to them, and then they end up at the abattoir, and then people start over with another horse thinking they've just had bad luck, and then it happens over and over and over again until finally they come to people like us who give them not only hope but also solutions. And that is the big thing, is that you need to have these solutions to be able to keep your horses. This horse is 7 years old now. As a 3-year-old, he was going to be sent to the abattoir because they had broken him. And now he's working beautifully and hopefully will live to be, well into his 30s. So, that's the plan for him anyway.
And just a little clarification for us Americans. Well, I'm not American, but for Americans, the abattoir sounds really poetic, but it is the slaughterhouse.
Oh, the slaughterhouse. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the abattoir is where they go to end their life in not such a pleasant way. So yeah, we try to educate people so that they can avoid that step. The horse should die naturally, when he's old and has had a good life, not because he's been destroyed by by really sort of old-fashioned ideas about horse training.
Yeah, and it's not even because people are harsh, or it's oftentimes just ignorance. I have been in that place myself. There was a time that I just did what everybody else did, and I know now how many times I have said sorry to my older horses, but it changed a lot. And one of the biggest things that I always want to say to people, that if things do not work, that's not the end of it. That's not the end of it. Just get curious what kind of people or what kind of help you can get to maybe not even just fix it, but to understand it first. First, be with the horse where he is, and then start fixing things. Don't start fixing things without understanding why the horse does what he does. And so getting to understand why things happen, also the bad things, is a really important thing. And oftentimes it has something to do with working according to the rules, whereas a horse does not know any rules. What we need to do is observe and feel, and not only feel with our hands and observe with our eyes, but feel through our hands into our hearts, and also see through our eyes, not with our eyes, and really feel what's going on and take that information seriously.
Exactly. And ultimately, what we want to do is change the paradigm so that we don't have to fix, but we can teach before.
report or
The
something.
damage starts. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is
Yeah.
definitely the goal.
So you want to show us a little bit?
Yeah, but the first thing, this is really interesting. I was just leading the horse basically. And even with very, very, very high level students, I often start with leading the horse, and I notice that leading is actually an issue. So as simple as it may seem, just like you see what's happening here, he's kind of little pushing on me. And as simple as leading may seem, this is often where understanding or communicating begins. So let's just see what we can do.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'm going to try to see if I can switch this. Well, I'm going to have to follow this way. Oh, hang on.
So tell us a little bit what she is.
Okay, so really, what is happening here is she is asking Bellum to remain very much responsible for his part in what's happening. So sorry, I'm trying to follow them as well as I'm talking. So he has to stay up with her and not go beyond her, but stay with her so that he understands that that's his responsibility, that he's not going to be dragged by her and go behind. And then when she stops, he stops. So basically it's really just getting the horse to understand that he does have a part to play, that we're not going to make all of his decisions for him, that he has to kind of participate, but mainly on a mental level, not just on a physical one. And one of the big mistakes people make is that they try to only deal with the horse on a physical level, and they forget that the horse has a brain, and that brain should be controlling that 600 kilos of muscle. Because if you're trying to do that, you're building a time bomb is what you're doing, because 600 kilos of fitness without a brain to actually direct it is a very dangerous thing. And this is what we see a lot of, is people ending up with horses that are far too strong for them and that don't have a guidance system. So I know, Monique, you know all about guidance systems.
Yes.
For humans. So it's the same sort of thing for horses. If they don't have the, I mean, slightly different, but if they don't have the software controlling the hardware, we end up with some really serious issues.
Right.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So here we're just saying to him, you know, can you walk with me? And when I stop, can you stop? It seems incredibly basic, and it is, except that it is a really big idea to the horse. Sorry, I am not following this perfectly well. Oh, sorry. Okay. Great.
It's what I still do on a daily basis with my horse.
Yes. Well, it is one of the main ways to start that communication. You know, we tend to want to dominate horses rather than communicate with them. And
Right.
again, it comes back to some fairly old ideas about horses. Right. Liesbeth, do you want to come and explain a little bit about what you're doing?
It's interesting because it already improved a little bit.
Mhm. Right there.
Okay, if you step back for a sec. So yeah, what I really want to teach the horse is to pay attention to me and take responsibility for next.
Hang on just a second.
Regarding the coverage on your vehicle.
Oh, how do I mute?
Just getting a message. I love these lives because you never know what's going to happen.
Try to look intelligent.
I know. Yeah, look intelligent. That's it.
Go ahead. It's finished.
The thing is, you know, first thing, I want the horse to really pay attention to where I am, to my energy, my direction of travel, and to read my body language and to learn about his responsibility to stay with me, to accelerate with me, and to stop with me. And right now, maybe in the background, you saw some moments that he stopped with me and I could easily reward because my hand is already on his neck. So he didn't have to go anything. There's no pressure on the line. But there was also some moments that he didn't stop with me, but I stopped my feet And I asked him to change the position of his body until he was where I would like him to be. And then I reward. And I'm being pretty precise, or well, actually, I'm really precise about this, because the more precise I am, the sooner he understands. And this means I'm calm, I'm clear, and I help him find the place where he needs to be, and I reward a lot when he is in the place he needs to be, because the reward oftentimes is um, by millions, not enough, and not often enough, and not big enough, and not clear enough. Sometimes people say good. Well, to me, that doesn't sound like a reward.
No.
So I really say, like, good boy, and I pet the horse, and I look at his face if he relaxes on it, because that gives him the opportunity to understand. And I also sometimes stop for a while so that he can actually let it sink in and understand what he's doing. So right now, the stops with me were already way better than when I started. Because in the beginning, also when he had to go with me, he was just sort of lagging behind. And now he's actually moving with me, and I don't have to pull. Sometimes I have to look over my shoulder like, hello, where are you? But then he already sort of settles in and, comes next to me.
Now, what I love about this is that in the herd, horses will communicate with each other exactly in the same way. So you're sort of teaching the horse that actually there can be communication with the human that is a communication they are familiar with, except it's from species to species instead of being the same species. So I find that really fascinating, that and that is a really great way to enter the mind of the horse, because one of the things that Liesbeth and I both work a lot on is making sure that it is human brain to horse brain, and then it's the horse brain that directs the body of the horse.
Right.
It's really important to understand that if you are trying to manhandle or dominate 600 kilos of muscle, and in his case a bit of fat as well, quite a bit of fat actually, though Normandy grass is very rich, that you're going to end up with problems, because the horse will not understand what it is that you want. He doesn't understand that there's communication, and that's when the big guns have to come out. So the heavy bits, the spurs, the exaggerated body movements from the ride, etc.
So it is really a big part of it is positive reinforcement.
Yes.
Right. Not when they go too fast or too slow, the yanking.
There's always, you have, in my opinion, you have 5 ways of learning accelerators. Positive and negative reinforcement, positive, negative punishment, and neutral reinforcement. This last one is not like scientifically described, but it actually means to harmonize and synchronize with what is at that moment there. And just imagine how that feels. If you are walking with someone, you're walking in the same rhythm, you're hand in hand, but because you're in the same rhythm, in the same kind of movement, it feels harmonious, and harmony feels good. That's just a law.
Right.
And so anything that feels good, the horse is going to repeat. So even if you do not add something, or you do not take something away, like in the positive or negative reinforcement way, but you just are really neutral and synchronized, that really feels good to the horse and can be a great reinforcer. So especially in this simple exercise where we just walk, in the moment that we just walk. So I'd like you to step a little bit out of my face. Thank you.
So, and I hear, Liesbeth, that in September, Karen is coming to Europe.
Oh yes, Karen, talk about
Karen. Yes. Well, 1, 2, 3 September, she's in the Netherlands. You can find anything about that on my website, sporthorsemanshipunited.nl. NL is from the Netherlands. She's coming 3 days, doing a 3-day clinic. And she's also doing on Saturday, 31st of August, a combined evening seminar with Wendy Murdoch. That's especially on the sure foot and on relaxation, let's say relaxation techniques, if you want. So that's super interesting to go there. And it's going to be a super interesting weekend. There's always something new there. It's not a clinic in the sense that we're walking through a standard program this time, because most of the people have already been introduced to dressage naturally or to sport and horsemanship united. Look, it's boring, he says. But it's going to be great fun. There's people from Czech, Belgium, Germany, UK, France, I hope,
And,
Netherlands, of course.
possibly Kentucky.
And possibly Kentucky. And I want to do a shout out to everybody that sees this, wherever you are in the world, in the United States. If you want to go on an awesome trip to the Netherlands, go around that time and go and then sign up to be an auditor and go participate. I mean, how you can network with all the other horse people. We all learn so much from each other, and it would just be an amazing opportunity.
But you're in Kentucky, am I right?
Yes, I am from Haarlem or Bentveld in Zandvoort.
Okay, so here's the thing also. In Kentucky, and I don't know exactly the address, is also, hey, come on, Shelby Hume Horsemanship, HME. She is also one of Karen's rare instructors. There's only 4 or 5 of them, so I'm really flattered to be one of those. But she is actually in Kentucky. So
wonderful. I think I've seen her name. Yes.
Yeah, Shelby Hume.
Shelby Hume.
Hume Horsemanship, I think her website is called.
Wonderful.
So she does teach. She does organize sometimes clinics with Karen too. So if Netherlands, traveling around the globe is a little bit, out of reach, then you may want to keep in touch with or get in touch with Shelby.
Yeah.
Well, we have to leave because Bellum is destroying the school.
Okay.
He's getting a little bit impatient.
He's not understanding a word of this. He goes, "What do you have in your hand?" Wonderful. Yeah, I want to thank you both. Enjoy your company, and I wish I was in the midst of it.
I wish you were here too. You'll have to come soon, and then we'll do lives from here.
Wonderful. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye, Liz.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.